In Pouch Cove, life moved at a measured pace, each resident knowing every face, every laugh, and every sorrow. And yet, in the midst of that closeness, tragedy can find us even in our most familiar surroundings. I live by the sea, and I've learned to respect its wild beauty, having witnessed both daring rescues and heartrending drownings. It never ceases to amaze me the sheer power the waves hold. The sea, though breathtaking, holds a dangerous temper beneath its crashing waves. And on this particular fateful day, 3 teenagers were about to find out how volatile that temper could be. The sun was barely stirring over the horizon in the small coastal town of Pouch Cove. It was a cold morning in early March 2001, and in a modest home, the last memory Sarah Elliott held of her beloved brother Jesse was a moment of quiet, ordinary heroism. Jesse, then 18, was zipping up his blue survival suit with practiced ease. He'd not long woken up, and from the living room window he noticed the family's neighbour shoveling her steps by herself. He trotted out onto the porch, donned that familiar blue suit, and with a bright smile promised his sister, "I'll be back in a minute." Sarah watched him, proud and adoring, as he set off to shovel the neighbour's walkway, and then returned up the hill, his smile warming even the chilliest of Newfoundland mornings. That was Jesse, kind, intelligent, adventurous, genuine and caring. But that very same blue suit would be the last piece of him Sarah would ever see. On March the 8th, 2001, in the golden light of a late afternoon, Jesse answered a call that came naturally to him, a call to help someone in need. That day at around 4:30 p.m, Jesse was not alone. His cousin, Adam Wall, and his friends, Adrian, known as AJ Sullivan, and Michael Sparks, were gathered at the edge of the frozen water. Word had spread that they were copying a daring feat, a challenge in which one jumped from one ice pan to another in the harbour. This was a trend that lured many with its blend of bravery and reckless imitation. And yet, as Sarah later recalled, they weren't leaping from pan to pan that day. Instead, they'd positioned themselves on the ice-covered rocks, simply watching the mesmerising yet treacherous waves. Then, as if nature itself decided to intervene with a cruel twist, everything changed in an instant. A powerful wave surged up from the dark water, its roar echoing off the rocky shoreline like a banshee's cry. A chunk of ice, on which AJ had been standing, broke off with a resounding crack that shattered the morning stillness, sending vibrations through the very air. The piece of ice hurtled him into the freezing, slushy water below with a sickening splash. And in that moment, his legs became trapped, pinned between jagged shards that glinted ominously in the low light. In the ensuing chaos, a cacophony of crashing water, frantic shouts, and the whistling wind, Michael sprinted off to call for help. But Jesse, driven by the unyielding compassion that defined him, didn't hesitate. With a determined burst of energy, he leapt into the icy water to save his friend. Then, in that desperate moment, another monstrous wave struck with a thunderous crash. For a heartbeat, a heavy, shattering silence fell over the scene. And then, as if swallowed by the very roar of the sea, AJ vanished beneath the tumultuous surface, leaving behind only the echo of nature's relentless fury. Adam, unwilling to abandon his friend, sprang into the frigid water as well, the cold piercing his body like a million knives. For what seemed like an eternity, the boys battled the relentless current and the biting cold. And then, as hope flickered in the eyes of onlookers, about a dozen local residents rushed to the shore. They scrambled to tie together pieces of rope and wielded an aluminium ladder, desperate to reach the stranded boys. Clinging to each other, Jesse and Adam managed to grasp the rope, a fragile lifeline in a sea of chaos. But, just as salvation appeared within reach, nature's fury surged once more. A tremendous wave crashed in, and a massive slab of ice pounded the rescuers' efforts. In that heart-wrenching moment, the lifeline was torn away, and all three boys, Jesse, AJ, and Adam, were lost to the unforgiving icy depths. Sarah, only 20 at the time, had been working in St. John's when a shattering phone call abruptly upended her day. By the time she returned home, the unimaginable had already unfolded. She recalled how the entire community had mobilized in the search along the shoreline. The combined efforts of the RNC, that's the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary, the Rovers, a local search and rescue team, and countless local volunteers proving overwhelming in their unity. The memory of that relentless helicopter circling the coastline as rescuers combed the ice remained indelibly etched in her mind. Its persistent drone, echoing over the frozen expanse, served as a haunting refrain that even now transports her back to that fateful night. The following day, with the boys' bodies still missing, Sarah sought solace on a secluded ledge of her family's property, a cherished spot where she and Jessie had often hidden away, sharing whispered dreams and quiet confidences. From that quiet vantage point overlooking the vast icy ocean, she observed the ongoing search. Amid the flurry of rescuers and the desperate hope that hung in the air, she saw him, Jesse, face down and lifeless, being hoisted from the water by a lowering rope. Later she recalled that her father had been the first to notice his presence, and her mother had remarked that it was as if Jesse were coming home. In that heart-rending moment, the vibrant promise of a life was replaced by a sorrow that would forever scar the community. It took 5 long days for the remains of the 3 boys to be recovered. Then began 10 consecutive days of visitations and funerals, a relentless tide of grief that swept through Pouch Cove. Amid this sorrow, thousands of people from around the world sent money, messages, and gifts. A Pouch Cove disaster fund was established in their names, a small light in the overwhelming darkness. In 2005, the bravery of Jesse and Adam was posthumously recognised when the then Governor-General, Adrienne Clarkson, presented them with Canadian Medals of Bravery. Their mothers accepted these honours on their behalf, a tribute that reached hundreds of thousands across the nation, a testament to the courage these young men displayed in the face of nature's wrath. Even as tributes continued to honour the lost boys, the legacy of that day endured through Sarah's impassioned appeal for caution. Troubled by alarming photos and videos of families playing on pack ice in Middle Cove and other parts of St. John's, she turned to social media to warn everyone of the hidden dangers. Her heartfelt message urged people to appreciate nature's breathtaking beauty while never forgetting its unpredictable and often treacherous power. A message that resonated deeply, being shared over 1,000 times. Authorities echoed that caution. RNC Constable Jeff Higdon noted that multiple calls had been received from the public about individuals venturing onto unstable pack ice. He stressed that common sense and sound judgment were essential, as tampering with such unpredictable terrain not only put lives at risk, but also endangered emergency responders. The message was unequivocal. Stay off the sea ice, for its deceptive allure can quickly turn fatal. Today, Sarah has rebuilt her life. Now an award-winning realtor and a devoted mother, she carries the memory of that tragic day forward. Her daughter Olivia, who was only 1 year old when Jessie died, grows up each year hearing stories of her brave uncle. Every anniversary, the family gathers to celebrate Jessie's life and imagine the man he would have become, now 35. This year, 17-year-old Olivia even penned a heartfelt poem in his honour, a living tribute to a life cut far too short. As you listen to this tale, let it serve as both a memorial and a warning. In those final harrowing moments, the 3 boys must have experienced a terror beyond what any of us can fully comprehend. A desperate, frantic struggle against an unstoppable, indifferent force. The icy water, cold and relentless, swallowed their voices and dreams in an instant, leaving behind nothing but a haunting silence and a community shattered by loss. Yet from the depths of this tragedy a sombre lesson emerges. Their untimely end stands as a stark reminder of nature's formidable power and the fragile boundary between youthful adventure and fatal miscalculation. It calls on us all to honour their memory by embracing caution and respect for the elements, a resolve to educate, to be vigilant, and to cherish every moment of life. Through our grief we learn that every precaution matters, and that the true measure of our love for those we've lost is found in our commitment to preventing similar heartache in the future. Despite the harrowing nature of the story I've told, I do hope you've enjoyed the video. That's all I have today, and I'll see you on the next one. And with that, I'll say bye-bye for now.